What's up, everyone? Peacemaker here. Merry Christmas to all of you, and I wish you a Happy New Year as well. But before that, I have a simple and easy task for all of us today. Basically, we have to decide between ZywOo and mONESY who was the best AWP of 2024. Pretty easy, right? So let's jump straight into it. We're going to be talking about a lot of different scenarios, statistically speaking, in terms of like events that they won and accomplishments in 2024, and a few different things, right? In terms of like the way they approach the game, styles, and all that kind of stuff. So let's go straight to HLTV and first take a look at the player profiles and see the difference between them. We can start by mONESY, right? 19 years old, player of G2. He has been in G2 since 2024, so going to his third year for G2, still 19 years old, right? Which is insane. Hasn't won a major yet, has been on top 20 HLTV twice, has a couple of titles, of course, individual titles as well, MVPs and whatever. And when you compare him with ZywOo, obviously there is not only an age difference, right? 24 years old in ZywOo, has been on top 20 multiple times, 5 times to be more precise. Player achievements, a major winner and a major MVP as well. Has obviously won more titles since he's been playing for longer and has been competing on a top level for longer. Let's just put it like that. There's also in terms of statistics, right? Here we have last 12 months mONESY, 1.29 impact, 1.27 rating. Well, pretty good stats. But this new feature from HLTV, right, where it shows like firepower, entering, opening, sniping, trading, clutching, and utility, that does give us a lot of information. And if you compare, well, we can begin with just taking a look at the stats, right? 129, 127 against 135, 142. That's only on LAN last 12 months, okay? So just by taking a look at the stats, we could jump into a conclusion already that ZywOo is better, right? No, we can't. We can't. And I'll explain you guys why in the next couple of minutes. But first, let's take a look at the firepower, right? In terms of firepower, which basically is players' raw output with a score based on kills, damage, multi-kills. This is one for the star players, blah, 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 blah. ZywOo has a 99/100 compared to mONESY with 94/100, right? 100 is the maximum. He has 94. And then comparing entry potential, 32 of mONESY against 23 of ZywOo. So mONESY has a better stat in terms of entry. 80 opening against 84 for ZywOo, kind of similar. Sniping, that's one of the most important things, right? We're talking about 2 snipers here, and being a sniper means primary AWPers based on kills and multi-kills with the AWP and Scout. A low score indicates a rifler, medium, a hybrid player, and a high, a fully fledged full-time sniper. Both of them are, right? But mONESY has 92 against 79 from ZywOo. Now I ask you guys, who was the best sniper in 2024? Of course, we can't come to a conclusion yet, but that does give us something, right? But let's keep going, right? Trading 70 against 64, so mONESY is a little bit better. Clutching 79, ZywOo 82 from mONESY, pretty same. Utility 57 against 60, also the same. In terms of performance against top 10, top 5, and top 20 teams, 133, 128, 125. mONESY 128, 125, 122. So against top 5, ZywOo has a slightly better stat over mONESY as well. Headshot percentage, same. They're both AWPers. That doesn't really matter for us that much. I think just by taking a look at the stats, the only thing that actually surprises me a lot is the sniping fact, right? But let's see a little further. Here we're taking a look at both sides, right? Let's see on City side if there is any massive difference between any of them. In terms of trading is the same. Opening kill. Actually, mONESY takes a lot more initiative than ZywOo on the City side, opening 87 against 81 from ZywOo. Also more entry. In terms of firepower, ZywOo is still on the top. Sniping doesn't change much. mONESY does pick the AWP a lot more than ZywOo on the CT side. In terms of T side, yeah, now I'm curious. In terms of T side, now there is a massive, huge difference here. ZywOo with a 69 sniping score against 92 from mONESY. Wow, that is a massive difference right here, okay? And also, in terms of opening, ZywOo does take more initiative on the T side, but I would assume he's playing with a rifle way more often than you guys believe he is, okay? But either way, now let's go to Skybox Edge. That's going to give us a comparison in terms of like this graphic right here. Here we're comparing mONESY and ZywOo last 100 matches last year, full buy against full buy. And here we can already see that mONESY in full buys, which means AKs, rifles, AWPs, and all that kind of shit, that does mean that mONESY has way more opening KD than ZywOo, but ZywOo does attempt a bit more, 22% against 21% from mONESY. That also gives a pretty interesting stat that mONESY has way more flash assists than ZywOo as well, while ZywOo has way more impact with utility than mONESY. That's also very curious. In terms of statistics, 132, 130, KD are the same, cast pretty much the same, average per damage round also pretty much the same, and all these stats that you see on Skybox Edge does not show on HLTV, right? That's why I'm trying to show you guys this, which I find pretty curious as well. Their roles, obviously, CTL round and TL round. They're AWPer, so they are pretty much everywhere. What else, guys? What else do we think that matters before we jump into any conclusion of who was the best in 2024, okay? So, events, right? In terms of like performances, rating, last 12 months on LAN, we can see that mONESY only had one bad event, which was Blast Premier Spring Final 2024, where he only played 3 maps with a 0.87 rating, and his best performance was at the PGL Major Copenhagen 152. 4 maps played, also played pretty well at IEM Cologne. In average, I would say, 1.30 rating, 1.35, something like that. But overall, really good stats, right? Wasn't that good at the RMR in the last major, but performed pretty well at the major itself. So, whatever. Now, comparing to ZywOo, what do we see here? Well, first of all, what do we see here is that ZywOo was insane at the major in Copenhagen 2024. Doesn't have any bad events throughout the whole year. That does make a huge difference, right? When we have to decide between one or the other. Pretty insane that he hasn't had a single bad event throughout the whole year, right? Moving forward, what do we see here in terms of accomplishments, right? Because that also plays a huge part before we jump into any conclusions. So who has won more in the last year? So 2024, we're taking a look at mONESY, right? mONESY, they started the year with a 3rd, 4th place at the major. IEM Chengdu 3rd, 4th. They have won IEM Dallas with Stewie 2K, by the way, with a standing. 2nd place at the Esports World Cup. That was the first tournament right after the player break. 3rd, 4th place at the ESL Pro League. 1st place, Blast Premier Fall. 1st place at the Blast World Final. That is massive. And a 3rd, 4th place at the major in Shanghai. Compared to ZywOo, 2024, he 3rd, 4th place at the major in Copenhagen. So, same with mONESY. 2nd place at ESL Pro League Season 19. And G2 hasn't played that tournament. Okay, that's pretty weird. But anyway, IEM Dallas 2024. Wow, G2 have beat Vitality in that final, right? 2nd place for Vitality. Blast Premier Spring Final 2024, 3rd, 4th place. 1st place at the IEM Cologne 2024. That is massive. That is a massive event, right? A major prestige event, pretty much, against IEM Dallas for G2 with a standing, but they also have won Blast World Final 2024, which is also a massive event with all the best teams in the world. G2 has won more events than Vitality. That's already straight in our faces, right? But in terms of like prestige, who has won more prestigious events in this year? I would say G2, right? With 3 events, they have won Dallas with a standing, which is massive, right? Winning an event with a standing, especially against Vitality and ZywOo, that makes it even more important. Blast World Final against IM Cologne, I would say IM Cologne is a more prestigious event. So, shout out to Vitality for this one. If we would be talking about last year, there would be no question here in Vitality with the major victory in Paris and all the rest that they have won in 2023. That would be a completely different story. But 2024, not that much, right? Not that good. But moving forward, so we already took a look at stats. We took a look at events. We saw a little bit of like a graphic with like their performance against full buys and all that kind of stuff. And recently, I saw this tweet. Analyst of Team Spirit has noticed that ZywOo picks up opponents up more than buying it himself. So ZywOo very rarely buys up himself. More often, he takes the stick from the opponent. ZywOo buys up himself only on wide maps, does true both sides, Mirage City, Nuke City, and only if he has really pumped up the economy, which means won about 4 or 5 rounds in a row, has about 10k on the bank. In other cases, he or his teammates pick up the opponent's up, and this principle does not break the team's economy, where one of the teammates is saving up for up, and due to this, you can play more buy rounds for the side. Pretty smart, very intelligent, but that does prove the fact that ZywOo only has 69 sniping score and overall 79 compared to mONESY with the 92, which means mONESY does buy more the AWP than ZywOo. And if you actually take a look, you can search for a YouTube video, any mONESY highlights, ZywOo highlights or whatever, and you can quickly figure out that yes, mONESY does have way more highlights as an AWPer than ZywOo. That doesn't mean anything, right? Like who was the best player, who is the most consistent player, and any of that. But purely based on the fact that mONESY does play with the AWP more than ZywOo, that's a pretty good indicator that mONESY might be the best AWPer in 2024, right? But if you actually think about the fact that there's a couple more things that I would like to consider here, and I'm just going to bring it to our screen so we can take a look, right? Here's my considerations and my honest opinion, right? So in terms of flashy plays, who does more flashy plays nowadays? Is it mONESY or ZywOo? I put mONESY in this one. Who has the best movement? Is it mONESY or ZywOo? mONESY also wins in this one by a large margin, in my opinion. mONESY movement is insane. Now, in terms of consistency, who is more consistent as a player as a whole? I would say ZywOo, right? The stats proves itself. He has better stats. Both are really good with the pistols. Both have highlights with pistols. mONESY with Deagle. ZywOo has multiple aces on pistol rounds. So maybe we can give this one to ZywOo a little bit. Riflers, who is better with the rifle? I would say ZywOo. I think ZywOo is more complete with the rifles over mONESY. Creativity, well, this one is a massive gap, right? ZywOo against mONESY. mONESY has literally created smokes, one-way smokes, movements, plays. The kid is just a genius in that sense. Highlight potential with the AWP has to be mONESY. He does play more with the AWP. Consistency with the AWP, not missing easy shots. I would say ZywOo. Based on like watching both of them playing, I think since we put mONESY on the flashy plays with flashy kills with the AWP, I would say that not missing easy shots hasn't been one of the big factors for him. I would say ZywOo is on top on this one. But in terms of hard shots potential together with the flashy plays, then we have to consider mONESY, right? So I would say very balanced here, but we do see mONESY's name more than ZywOo, right? And we can see that both of them are really good at pistols. So, it's a very hard question, right? And after this long video, us checking all these stats, all these numbers, can we actually come to a conclusion here, guys? It's a very tough one, right? But I'm just going to put it like this. If we're talking about who is the best player between the two, I would say ZywOo is a way more complete player There's also age gap between them, right? 6 years in total. So obviously, ZywOo is a way more complete player. But if you actually think that mONESY, in what mONESY can be in 6 years from now when he's 24 versus what ZywOo was when he was 19, which he didn't even compete. And if you actually think about the amount of improvement, the amount of like new things that mONESY can create, and the potential that he has as a young kid, I just have to consider that as an AWPer right now, I see mONESY being better than ZywOo. But better player, more complete player, ZywOo, better AWPer with more potential of making an impact for his team with the AWP, I have to say mONESY right here. But I want to know you guys' opinion down below. Who do you guys think was the best AWPer of 2024? mONESY or ZywOo, based on everything that I showed you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. See you next time. Cheers.